Before we start this video, I would like to inform you that the clip you are seeing is actually on purpose. What I mean by this is that this is not how the face-off mission is meant to be played. I'll explain the game mechanics later for those who don't know, but what I'm trying to achieve here is to test if the bots in the game are good, and to my surprise, they actually can be challenging for solo players. And it needs the player's utmost attention to complete each task and win the match. That is on the single mode of face-off, by the way. And what I'm going to talk on this video is why the game mode is not that popular in the Warframe community, despite of the fact that it's well polished with a few hiccups. The hard fact is, PvP in Warframe is not very appealing to the community. Take, for example, Conclave, Warframe's player versus player mode, never found a strong place in the game. The biggest reason is how different it feels from the rest of Warframe. Most of the game is about moving fast, killing lots of enemies, and using absurd powers. But in Conclave, many of those powers are toned down or don't work the same way. That change turns Warframe into something slower and clunkier. The gear you grind for in regular missions doesn't work well in Conclave, so players feel like they're starting over with a new game. This makes it hard to care. Add in small rewards and little reason to play, and most players just skip it. Conclave also lacks balance. Some Warframes and weapons are way stronger than others, and there's not enough effort to fix that. You can end up in matches where you have no chance. That's not fun. The small number of players makes this worse. You fight the same people over and over, or you sit in a queue with no match. In my opinion, Warframe shines in PvE. It's built for that. PvP was always a side project, and it shows. It feels like an extra mode, not a core part of the game. That lack of focus hurt it. To make it worse, the controls in Conclave don't help either. Warframe is known for fast movement, bullet jumps, wall running, and sliding. But in Conclave, that speed can turn into chaos. Fights often feel random. 1 second you're fine, the next you're dead from a shot you didn't see. There's no time to react or think. It pushes out casual players and rewards only those who spend hours mastering strange tricks. The skill gap is huge. There's little middle ground. That kills fun for most people. On top of that, the game never taught players how to play Conclave. There were no good tutorials or guides in the game itself. People would jump in, get crushed, and leave. They didn't want to waste time figuring it out. Also, the mode didn't get much support. Updates were rare, bugs stuck around. New maps and modes almost never came. Over time, the mode just felt old and forgotten. Without care and attention, it slowly faded. The developers knew most people didn't play it, so they focused on other parts of the game. This decision makes sense, but it also made things worse for the small PvP crowd. In the end, Conclave failed because it didn't fit Warframe's strengths, didn't feel fair or fun, and got little love from players or the devs. A couple of years later, Digital Extremes tried several things to somehow make PvP work in Warframe. The most recent is the face-off mission. There are two types of this mission. One is you can play with real players, and the other one is played with bots. The goal is simple, and that is to complete 3 objectives. Whoever completes it first will win the match. The objectives may require players to do Exterminate, Data Burn, Tech Rot Scan, Pirate Studio, Lockbox, or Assassination. And there is also a mechanic wherein you can boost your team or penalize the other team. How about the version that pits you against actual players? Well, it's not exactly a player versus player game mode, and Digital Extremes specifically said that it's a mix of PvE and PvP. You don't fight the other squad, but it's a race to the finish line. You see, face-off involves speed running through a set of objectives that are the same for both teams. You can find buffs for your team and debuffs to slow the other team down, all scattered around the map. The rewards are decent. You can earn an arcane and collect some regional resources. It's competitive, but not sweaty. Now, these are just my personal experience about face-off, but I think many of you can relate with it. So, what makes face-off really stand out for me is its connection to Conclave standing. Outside of Teshin's Conclave, this is currently the only place where you can earn that standing. Universal medallions don't work here either, seriously DE, so if you hate the janky physics and unfair hitboxes in regular Conclave, the PvPvE version of Face-Off gives you an alternative. Just note, only the mix mode gives you standing, not the single squad one. That said, my experience with Face-Off Conclave hasn't been great though. It feels just as painful as regular Conclave, but in a different way. There are no lag issues or weird physics, but there's intense pressure to speedrun. And since it's a team-based mode, your performance depends on everyone doing their part, breaking jammers, grabbing buffs or debuffs, reviving teammates from deadly Chemspore procs. Unfortunately, most players seem to default to a kill everything mindset. And while I totally support people playing however they want, Face-Off is a mode where speed and coordination really matter. Seeing teammates bring frames like Saren or Necros while I'm playing Volt trying to boost everyone's speed and damage just feels disheartening because we still lose. The terrain doesn't help either. Holvania is somehow harder to navigate than Eris, Europa, or Cambion Drift. Tiny bits of tech rot snag you constantly, and the grainy visuals paired with odd lighting make it hard to see where you're going. It's especially frustrating during a Volt sprint when you get stopped by invisible geometry mid-run. Objective clarity is also a big issue. Amir and Aoi's transmissions take forever and are buried in sarcasm or bragging. There's rarely a clear explanation of what to do, and the voiceovers are easy to miss while you're scrambling to complete tasks. Most of the time, you're just guessing if you're doing it right, until you realize the other team is already way ahead. And then there's the standing. It's just not enough. The community on the subreddit has pointed out that Face-Off could get toxic because it's still a competitive PvP setup, and one proposed solution was to reduce the standing gap between the winning and losing teams. Unfortunately, the current gap is 100%. Win, and you get 2,000 standing. Lose, and you get 1,000. To hit rank 3 Conclave, I need around 44 wins, or 88 losses, and that's just rank 3. Rank 4 and 5? That's a ridiculous grind, especially when you consider that a single Tesching Conclave win gives over 3,000 standing. Yes, Face-Off rewards you with arcanes too, but you can get those elsewhere. If Digital Extremes want to make Face-Off a real alternative, they need to emphasize the Conclave standing more. I know this all sounds pretty negative, and I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone who's enjoying Face-Off. I'll probably keep playing it a few more times until I inevitably get too salty and take a break. Just a gentle reminder, treat your teammates with kindness. Even if they're standing still on top of a flashing jammer with clear break-me waves coming off it, they're probably trying their best. The game mode was okay during the first few days of its release. This is obvious since players want to try this new game mode. But right now, it turned into Conclave, wherein if you play in public queues, then there are instances wherein you'll need to wait for 30 minutes or more before starting one match. And yes, I have tried everything, and Event went to see if the queue time will lessen once I get into crowded servers. To do this, simply go into your option menu and then System. In here, you can choose what server you would want to connect. Most of the time, I find the North America and Asia server to have tons of people to join in public matches. But when I tried doing Face-Off public matchmaking, I usually have to wait a long time or get lucky to even have players who wants to do the game mode. The intention of the Face-Off game mode is good, as it lets you get the Conclave rewards without doing any janky PvP game mode in Warframe. But that's the reality. Warframe players has little interest for PvP in this game. I know that there are lots of Destiny 2 players migrating right now in Warframe, and I hope that you enjoy the PvE content. Warframe is really good when it comes to PvE content, but don't expect to get more from it on a PvTOD-P perspective. In fact, there was a time when Digital Extremes said to the community that their main focus is on the PvE aspect of the game. They add lots of great updates, and I think that Face-Off game mode is not necessary a new PvP game mode to revitalize this aspect in the game, but just a game mode added for players to get Conclave rewards and more. Before leaving, I would like to ask you on what's your opinion regarding this. Do you think that Digital Extremes should add PvP content, or do you think that it will be better to get rid of it entirely in the game? Let me know in the comments section below. Also, please consider liking and subscribing if you like my content. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video.